My name is Todd Kaplan, and I'm a convicted felon. It's January 31st, 2002. I'm sitting at my desk on a normal day when all of a sudden I hear, "Hands in the air." As I put my hands up, my eyes lock onto two FBI agents, their guns drawn. "Keep your hands in the air." "Are you Todd Kaplan?" "Yes, I'm Todd Kaplan." And that's where my nightmare began. 48 FBI and IRS agents swarmed our place like flies, snapping photos, taking videos, removing boxes, going through our server room in a frenzy. And I watched, helpless and confused. I'm the president of a healthcare company. We have 71 offices in 14 states, 587 employees, $190 million in revenue, and now I'm being escorted out of my own office by the FBI. I had no idea why. I had no idea that my life would be changed forever, and I had no idea that innocent until proven guilty, that's just a fairy tale. Can one innocent man fight the United States government? The government started their takedown, and 38 months later, I am standing in a packed courtroom waiting to be indicted. When the judge looks at one of my attorneys and says, "Mr. Huntington, could this be right?" 137 federal criminal charges, punishable by 685 years in prison. How in the world could this be happening to us? We were just charged with more counts than Enron, WorldCom, HealthSouth, Adelphia, and Kowalski from Tyco. Mr. Kaplan, how do you plead today? Not guilty, Your Honor. Well, a year later, we were offered a settlement agreement, and I thought my legal nightmare would finally be over. The company would pay a $22 million fine. I would pay a $2.9 million fine and serve 51 months in prison. 51 months in prison. You would miss your family. You would miss your friends. And then it hits me like a ton of bricks. If I miss 3 forum meetings, I'm out of forum. Do I take the 51-month prison sentence, or do I fight the United States government? I remember one of my attorneys telling me that I should go and sit in the closet each day for 2 hours in the dark, just so I know how it feels to be in prison. But for me, prison wasn't an option, and I was going to fight. And over the next 5 years, I lived in constant fear. I can still count the number of hours of sleep I had in a week on just one hand. After 8 long years and $8.5 million in legal fees, we had our final court appearance, a new settlement offer. This one, no jail time. The government would drop 136 healthcare charges if I would plead guilty to 1 count, failure to pay taxes in the amount of $22,000. But could I live with myself as an innocent man if I pleaded guilty for something I didn't do? Or was I ready to fight for what I believed in at the expense of my family, my friends, and more legal fighting? Everybody told me to take this deal. What would you do? Mr. Kaplan, how do you plead today? As much as I wanted to scream at the top of my lungs and say not guilty, I looked at the judge and said, guilty. Guilty, Your Honor. Failure to pay taxes in the amount of $22,000. With the banging of the gavel, the judge ordered me to pay a $100 fine. And I said to one of my attorneys, $100,000, that's a great deal. No, Todd, just $100. With that $100 payment, I reluctantly became a felon. My legal nightmare, well, that was finally over. But that stamp, felon, across my forehead that will never go away. I have been to 14 GLCs, and last year in Vancouver, that's the first one I missed because a convicted felon can't enter Canada. Every single day since 2002, I've had to quickly relive this story, telling it to people before they got a chance to find out on their own. The only day I don't relive this story, well, that's the day I don't meet anybody new. As I look in the audience today, I see family business owners, entrepreneurs, those hired to lead corporations. And the first thought that always goes through my mind is, I'm the only felon in the room. But you know, they say that life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you let it affect you. So I can tell you today that after fighting the US government, well, there are not too many fights that I'm afraid of. So, who won? United States versus Kaplan. Who won? The lawyers won. I had 8 years of my life ripped away from me. The government fought a useless battle, and the lawyers, well, they made a boatload of money. I'm sure most of you here today have heard of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Well, today I stand here on this stage stronger than ever, and I call that post-traumatic growth. If I had to do this all over again, would I still plead guilty? I don't know. But what I do know is every single day we fight for something in our lives, whether it's for our family, our work, our health, even our freedom. And when you're facing your daily battles, remember, it takes courage to know when to fight, but it also takes courage to know when to remain silent. Today, I'd like to leave you with the words of Tony Payne. The wise, they choose their battles. The foolish, they battle everything and everybody. And the ignorant convince themselves that there is no battle to be fought. I'd like to just thank everybody today for letting me share my personal story in a safe place in front of my YPO family. Thank you. Thank you.